what do you think you're doing?
Slide, slide, slide. We can't find those slides. They would start hiding now.
Why don't you try your case? You put them in there 10 minutes ago.
Look, this is no time for jokes. However, just to show you... I'm sorry, Frank. It's the conference jitters.
You sure you got your speech?
Of course, idiot. It's coming on at the end that worries me.
Nervous, huh?
What do you think?
I thought you did a lot of this sort of thing when you were in America.
Yes, but this is the first time in Germany, remember?
The weaker sex.
By the way, this is as much your stuff as mine, Dr. Overton.
We settled all that 2 weeks ago. Let's not go over it again. Oh, incidentally, Joan's coming tonight.
Joan? No, don't tell me. Joan.
My wife.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Frank.
You're forgiven. Come on, the old man's waiting.
Oh, I'm ready when you are.
Can you imagine? The girl says she's nervous.
I shouldn't be surprised.
I'll be here for the next 6 weeks. I don't think you'll ever make South Africa.
I will be.
Well, there's the great man himself.
Oh, it's Keith. Hello, Robert. And you, Robert. Mr. Keith. And this, I'm sure, is our charming German colleague, Dr. Wieland.
How do you do, sir?
How do you do? I've heard a lot about your exciting work with Overton. That's why I came here to tell you what I think of it.
Well, I hope you won't be too disappointed, Sir Keith.
Park this for me, will you, Frank, and I'll catch up with you later.
Right.
I ran into Blazer the other day.
Oh, did you?
He was asking after you.
That Bob is an old fool. He gives me a pain.
Oh, forget him. Think of my worries instead.
Rats were placed in a cold environment and made to rebreathe their expired air in a closed vessel, so that the proportion of oxygen decreased and that of carbon dioxide increased.
Right in front, where it's low.
Naturally, the body temperature fell to minus 70 degrees centigrade. As you might well suppose, the overall effect of this...
Join us at the same time next week for Joan Overton's next interesting talk on current fashion.
Well, Joan, my love, if you think that's a fashion talk, you should be hung round end quarter.
Why? What's wrong with it?
What's wrong with it? Telling all those nice kids to buy a good suit that will last years and just bring the changes on the accessories. It's positively immoral.
Hello?
How long have you had this cheap old rag?
3 days?
And how long do you intend to keep it?
Well, it depends if my loving husband likes it or not. He hasn't seen it yet.
I bet he won't like it.
Why not?
Grow up, baby. Or do I have to make you a drawing?
Oh, that. Oh, well, he's used to that. He won't mind.
What makes you think so? I used to.
Ah. Do you really think I've overdone it?
If it were anybody else, I'd say yes. But as it's you... Come on, I've got my page to look after and it's getting late.
Oh, let's have one for the road.
You can't have. You can't go to a scientific meeting smelling of drink.
You're joking. It'll be over by the time I get there. With any luck.
Then why the finery?
Female competition.
Ah, now you're moving into my country. And what does that mean?
Helen Wieland.
Helen Wieland. Who's she?
A beautiful scientist.
The plot thickens. Come.
Well, she was called in by the World Health Service. And Frank was asked to help her. And man, does she need help. I don't see Frank these days.
What the hell do they do?
Believe it or not, they stick chimpanzees into a deep freeze for a few months. And bring them out alive.
Both the parent chimpanzees have been deep frozen and kept in the cold store at a temperature of minus 80 degrees centigrade for 3 months before they were mated. We've been carrying out very exhaustive tests. None of the experimental animals have suffered any damage to the brain or major nerve centers whatsoever. In conclusion, the great problem until now of all low-temperature work with large animals has been how to stop the heart and then freeze the blood quick enough to prevent brain damage from oxygen starvation. Happily, Dr. Frank Overton's thermal control panel has solved this difficulty. But now we find ourselves face to face with a very intriguing question. Where next? I'm afraid I shall have to ask Dr. Overton to deal with that part of the discussion. Thank you very much for your attention.
Oh, can you tell me where the low-temperature lecture is?
First floor.
Thank you.
Excuse me, madam. Do you have invitation?
Invitation? My husband's Dr. Frank Overton. Is there anything else?
That'll be all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's the maximum period of successful cold storage?
Well, our maximum is 3 months. But in theory, that can be extended to 3 years, 30 years, 300 years, just as long as you like. It makes no difference. They'd still come back as good as new. It's very simple. For where life is suspended, time actually has no meaning at all.
I should like to know if you foresee any possibility of extending your experiments to the human animal. It occurs to me, for instance, that some of our aging politicians might welcome the idea of going into cold storage until the next general election.
We'd be very happy to oblige the opposition, although I'm afraid they might like a trial or a test run first. Perhaps the questionnaire would like to volunteer to be the first guinea pig.
I must have notice of that question, but seriously, I take it that you are still a long way from human deep freeze.
Oh, no, sir.
You go ahead. I'll handle the brick bats.
Well, the question is, are we still a long way from human deep freeze? The answer is no. We are right on the doorstep. Dr. Overton and I are convinced that we could take a suitable human being, freeze him, and revive him with all his faculties intact. All we want is a chance to show we can do it.
How come you can there's no brain damage?
We haven't any problem with the chimps.
But you can't compare a man with
Ladies and gentlemen, I am sorry, but our time is up, and I'm afraid the fascinating subject of deep freezing the human animal must itself go into cold storage for the moment. It only remains for me to thank all our contributors for this very interesting symposium on hypothermia.
You haven't noticed it.
Haven't noticed? How could I miss it, Tony? You get your drink.
I'll have a scotch.
Give me the sherry.
Oh, Frank, do come and help. My voice is giving out.
Very nice to see you again. Goodbye.
Sorry to butt in, Hubbard, but I'd like to have a word with you.
Oh, dear, I was just going to talk to Mrs. Overton.
Oh, unfortunately, I've got to leave in a minute.
Oh, very well.
Darling, no sherry, only champagne.
Oh, I hate it.
I'm sorry to hang you up like that.
It was my fault, Mrs. Overton. I didn't realize Frank was getting you a drink.
Do call me Joan. It's much friendlier in the circumstances.
Oh, yes, I'd like to. I expect you know my name is Helen.
Yes, I saw it in the program. I'm sorry I couldn't get here before. I'm sure your speech must have been fascinating. Darling, would you get me another?
I think we ought to get something to eat.
Oh, you poor darling, you must be starving. Why didn't you say so before? You must come and have a meal with us sometime, Helen.
What do you mean sometime? No time like the present.
Oh, you're very kind, and I'd love to, but the speech making has worn me out. I can hardly wait to get back home. Thank you very much.
Are you sure you won't change your mind?
No, not tonight. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Oh, dear. That's too bad. I wish you'd join us.
You know, I think your Helen's got something. Perhaps we should go home after all.
I thought you wanted to show off your new outfit.
Darling, I only wore it to please you.
Let's go.
I hope I've made myself clear. I cannot have the unit associated in any way with deep freeze experiments on humans.
Of course, but it's a point we must reach one day.
Not while I'm in charge, I hope.
By the way, are you free next Friday morning?
I'm not sure why.
They're going to refreeze Susie. Susie? Yes, the mother chimp in that family group that Helen Beelan showed us. Why don't you come along and watch?
Well, I'll see what I can do. So long. What temperature is she now?
-10.
Oh. She doesn't look frozen to me.
Stupid old fool. And don't forget she's absorbed about a gallon of glycerol. That's why she hasn't iced up yet.
Martin, did you put a new cylinder in?
Yes, sir.
Wanted on the telephone, long distance.
All right, thanks, Martin. You manage, Helen?
Yes, of course. Now we are taking her right down to -80.
Is that carbon dioxide?
Yes, we freeze it around her.
What's the point? Why not pack her in dry ice straight away?
First thought, yes. But on second thoughts, no.
You see, Sir Keith, the body surface would cool much quicker than the interior if we did that. Now, this way, all the body processes are arrested simultaneously. Then she'll stay sweet and sound until we wake her up.
I see.
Are you ready, Martin?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go.
Oh, yes. Just a minute. How much? How much? You couldn't have timed it better. Oh, I better take that down.
Hold it a minute, Frank. Well, there's your ice, Sir Keith.
That's quick.
It's just as well, because we are pretty tired at that stage.
-75 going on automatic.
All right, Martin. Let's wrap her up.
-80 on automatic, stabilizing.
Are you through?
Yes?
Good. That was a most impressive demonstration. Most impressive indeed.
But you must come again when they do the resuscitation. That's much more exciting to watch. Oh, by the way, I've laid on tea in my office. Will you come, Helen, and you, Frank?
No, we were going to get Jackie ready.
Oh, well, surely you can spare a few minutes. As I was saying, when the heart starts beating again and you hear the first thud on the amplifier, that's really exciting. As the tea doesn't seem to have turned up, while I read you a message I've just received by telephone, perhaps you'd like to drink a glass of champagne in honor of the winners of the Alexis Carrel Award. Helen Maria Wieland of Munich, Germany, and Francis Henry Overton of Boston, USA, for their remarkable advances in the field of low-temperature research, which opens up far-reaching possibilities in human surgery.
Carol.
That's almost on par with the Nobel Prize.
Certainly in terms of cash. They'll get $25,000 each.
20.
Frank.
Yes, $25,000, and you can spend it all on this if you like. Oh, I'm sorry. Would you have preferred tea?
$12,4596? Frank!
Hi, darling. Just wanted to check and see if you were there. I'll be along shortly.
I don't believe it. You're not ill, are you?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. Sit tight. I'll be there in a few minutes.
Great. Bye.
What's all that about?
Put your skates on. Frank's coming home.
What's going on? Half term? Parents' Day? Archbishop Street?
Cut the wise talk and go, man. Just go, huh?
Are you trying to get rid of me?
Oh, no. What do you think?
Oh, Joan is really excited. For the first time in her life, she can have anything, do anything she wants.
It must be the champagne. I still can't take it in.
Ah, here you are. I've just been speaking to Professor Hubbard about another matter, which he thinks you both ought to hear about right away. It concerns you in particular, Overton.
Oh, what is that, Sir Keith?
This splendid piece of news has come just at the right moment to set the seal on your work with Dr. Wieland. Worthy Victor's garland, so to speak. So now we must give you new fields to conquer. Professor Bradshaw wants you to take over the remote control sampler for their radiation investigation.
Oh, Sir Keith, we just barely scratched the surface of this low-temperature project.
Precisely. The pioneer work's finished. It's time for the big battalions now to step in.
You may be right, but you still need us.
I've considered the possibility and decided that Dr. Wieland should carry on here.
You mean you want to break us up now when we've just reached the final stage of our work?
What exactly do the words final stage refer to, Dr. Wieland?
The first human experiment, of course.
I consider all this talk about a human deep freeze experiment extremely ill-advised and premature.
The Alexis Carrel trustees don't seem to share your opinion, Sir Keith.
No one hopes more fervently than I for the day when suffering humanity can be treated by your method and be cured. But it will be fatal to encourage false hopes, despite the enthusiasm of the current trustees.
You don't think for 1 minute that we've been conducting these experiments for the welfare of half a dozen monkeys, do you?
The high policy of the executive is outside your terms of reference, Dr. Overton.
Well, what the hell do you think we've been doing here?
Don't want you around when Frank gets back, that's all.
Why not? A little competition would do him a world of good.
Look.
He might stop thinking of you as simply another body for the deep freeze.
What are you trying to do?
Look in the mirror, my sweet. I'm trying to get a very attractive woman back into circulation.
If a chimpanzee dies during an experiment, that's one thing. But a human life is quite different. I'm sorry, but the risk of failure is much too great.
Sir Keith, the certainty of destruction by incurable disease is absolute. It is only by experiment and occasional failure we discover the knowledge and techniques that make for success. All we are asking for is to carry out these experiments in a calm and secure atmosphere.
That is no part of my responsibility.
It most certainly is. And until you give your word, the millions of people throughout the world suffering from incurable diseases will have to face their fate as best they can.
You know what my mother used to say? The years race by, but the magic lingers. That's how it is with us, Joan.
You are wasting your time. Look, we had our little interlude. And it was over the day I met Frank. You knew that. Well, nothing has changed. It's Frank now and always.
In my experience as a crime writer...
Oh, clear off! You're reaching the point of no return. And it'll hurt you more than it'll hurt me.
I think that young woman is most persuasive.
Possibly because her fiancé died of cancer.
Ah, that accounts for it.
I think if I knew I had only a few weeks to live, I'd volunteer for her.
By the way, Hubbard, I think you ought to step in.
Huh?
You must tell them that human experiments are out. They'll take it better from you. In the meantime, of course, I shall consult various authorities. Well, I must be going now.
You mean you'll sit on the fence, and if someone makes a fuss later, I shall take the rap?
My dear Hubbard, I had no such thought in mind.
Well, put your veto in writing for the record. And if you do that, I'll pass it on.
8,000 or 9,000 pounds.
In dollars, that's 25,000, any way you look at it.
Oh, Frank. Oh, what can we do with it?
Whatever you'd like. What would you like?
Masses of things. We could have another car, you know, a little one for town.
Sure.
And then we could have a fabulous holiday. And we could have a little period cottage for the weekends.
You know, it's something I've been thinking about. Not the weekends, but a place in the country. You know, long walks and fresh air. I could commute. Give me a chance to catch up on my reading.
Yeah. What about my job?
Listen, what about your job? Don't you think it's about time you were quitting it?
Oh, yeah, but...
Joan, all the money you make, it either goes in taxes or you spend it on clothes. I don't know. We've been married 5 years. I'd like to start thinking about having kids.
Kids?
Well, yeah. You want a family, don't you?
Oh, sure, but...
Good, that's settled then.
Yeah, let's celebrate that. When do we start?
Start what?
Why, looking for the house.
On weekends, it'll be fun driving around.
And when we find what we want, I start raising the family. Is that it?
Sooner the better as far as I'm concerned. That's up to you.
Mm-hmm. And when does Helen Wieland leave for Munich?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't have to look so upset about it, Frank.
Upset? What has Helen Wieland got to do with our having a family?
Look, if you think I'm going to lose my looks and my figure, retire to this grand house in the country, take long walks and plenty of fresh air while you catch up on your reading with that woman around, you're crazy.
Look, you're not serious. You can't be jealous of Helen.
No more than you are of Tony. Look, you can call it intelligent anticipation. You may not be in love with her, but she certainly is in love with you.
Let me set you straight about something. Helen and I work together. We work together harmoniously, but it begins and ends with our work. What do you think we are, a couple of newspaper people?
Touché. But you're human, and so is she.
And you're out of your mind.
Am I? Well, I watched her at that lecture hall.
Why don't you knock it off? Just knock it off! Now that you mention it, yes, she is attractive, and she's human also.
Where are you going?
I'm working tonight.
Oh, another experiment, huh?
All night.
Oh, yes, every night. Oh! Hello. Tony.
Was she thrilled?
I guess you might say she was. She got a little steamed up.
I'm not surprised. I got steamed up, too.
Well, she got steamed up in a different way. She's annoyed because I can't take her to dinner tonight.
Well, why shouldn't you? All you have to do is verify those figures, and then Martin and I can do the rest. You see, at 11:05, the cryogenic modulator was at -40, and then 10 minutes later... 10 minutes later... It would be better if you went home.
You want me to?
Yes.
Right on. I'll call her up.
I better see what Martin's up to.
crowd sees me out dancing, carefree and romancing, happy with my someone new. I'm laughing on the outside, crying on the inside, for I'm still in love with you. They see me night and daytime, having such a gay time. They don't know what I go through. I'm laughing.
Having fun?
Fun? I've had such fun in years, Tony boy. Just like the old days.
So there's something to be said for this monkey business, after all.
Monkeys? Oh, monkeys. To hell with monkeys for tonight.
Yes, to us.
To us.
Waiter, a bottle of Wörthke Coke, please. 1951.
Very well, sir.
1951.
Remember?
Ever since our breakup, make believe is all I do. I'm laughing.
Funny little bar in Cannes.
You were bewitching that night.
You ordered a bottle of vintage champagne and you couldn't afford to pay the bill.
Lucky I had my new gold wristwatch.
Sure was.
To the night, it was never to end.
Excuse me, Mr. Stein, you wanted on the telephone, please.
Oh, hell. Sorry, darling.
Don't be too long, because I haven't got a gold wristwatch.
Stein here. Hi, John. What do you want me for? What do you mean it's urgent? It's a whole night's work. I'm damned if I'm going to do it. All right, you get JB to the phone. I'll tell him myself.
Hi. To the queen of the jungle.
Hi, elephant boy.
Tanzolung Kishanyam. Wollen wir tanzen?
Huh?
Danse, madame.
Oh, why, sure, elephant
Sure,
boy.
big
Come
girl.
on.
But look here, JB. Surely the paper doesn't own me body and soul. It's damned unfair. All right. But it's the last time.
Tony, where have you been?
Look, John, I've got to go.
Oh, but I was just beginning to enjoy myself.
I've got to write an article for tomorrow's copy. Put it on the stage, Charlie. Come on.
Oh, but it's early. What time is it? What you doing? Writing your memoirs?
Do keep quiet, John.
Be all right if you had some booze.
Haven't you had enough?
That's a great question.
Well, you have drunk me dry of whiskey.
Huh.
But there's gin somewhere. If you find it, you can start on that. But don't blame me for your head in the morning.
It's empty. That's empty. Hey! What's this? Huh?
Put that thing down.
Which thing?
The gun. And always remember the old saying. Never, not even in fun, point the gun at anyone. It's a damn stupid thing to do.
All right, don't blow your top. What you keep it for, anyway?
It's a souvenir I got of a little crook. I whitewashed him in a very dirty story.
Tony, listen. When you finish writing your love letter, could we go to that little jungle place again? Because I liked it there.
Turn in this story, Puppet. It will be daybreak.
Don't be a spoiled sport, Tony. You said we were having fun. Look, you said it was just like the old days, remember?
Why don't you go home? And as you have decided to wander about, all right, do that. Go back to your jungle. I'm going to work in peace. Good night.
Jump in the lake. Good night!
Don't worry about it. Even if Sir Keith does put his veto in writing, I shall bring the matter up again at the Scientific Council.
Thank you.
I've already told Frank. He took it very calmly, considering he's not exactly fond of Sir Keith at the best of times.
Joan asked him to take her out tonight.
Very natural under the circumstances.
Yes, I mean, I think they must have had a pretty bad row. In fact, I know they did.
Well, that's their business, isn't it?
Oh, yes, of course. It's just I'm sorry it happened, that's all.
Helen, has it occurred to you that Frank's wife may feel rather shut out?
I don't see why. Ours has just been a happy working relationship.
I know. But it's not always easy to keep it that way. Good night.
I certainly asked for it, but I'm sorry you had to say it. It was necessary. You see, I've been very careful.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? There you are. I suppose I'm the last person you want to see. Well, the same goes for me. I've got something to tell you. Most important,
Martin, would you tell Dr. Overton his wife is here?
Huh. Come on, I don't want to see him. No. I want to see her. As a matter of fact, you can go too. Oh, it's full of people like you. But you're wasting your time. Because you're not going to get the better of me. Oh, no. You're going to get more than you bargained for.
What the heck? Helen, you'd better go.
No, no.
What's going on here? Come on, Joan, let's go home.
No.
Come on, let's
No!
go.
Let me go! I want to see her!
Poor Frank. Ring him up when I've gone. Tell him not to worry about it. Nobody will ever refer to it again. Do you hear, Helen?
Yes, I'll do that.
What a queer sort of day it's been.
What you have to put up with when you leave me. They'll say, what a bitch. Surprised it lasted that long. That'll suit your book, won't it? Why didn't you say something?
What the hell do you want me to say?
Look, why don't you get your clothes off and get into bed? Talk about this thing in the morning.
I want to talk now.
You're in no condition to talk about anything now.
I wish I was dead.
Oh, that's a bright, drunken speech.
Hello. Helen, good of you to call. Yes. Yeah, it's all right now.
Professor Hubbard asked me to let you know.
Oh, that was nice of him, Helen. Thank you. Well, I'm not worried. It's just that...
Thank God he didn't see this.
Hold on, will you? What are you doing with that? Give me the gun.
No.
Give me the gun, Joe.
Frank? 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 Are you all right?
Helen?
Thank God. I thought I heard a gun go off.
No, nothing.
No, she tripped over a lamp and the bulb exploded. I'll try and get over later.
It was terrible. I thought I'd killed you.
That wasn't very bright of me, but I thought you were going to do something stupid.
I only tried to hide it. I didn't want you to see it.
Where'd you get the gun, John?
Tony's. I took it. They didn't know.
How long have you had it?
Tonight I went round to his place after we had our quarrel.
You mean you had this thing when you came to the lab tonight?
But I only meant to frighten her. It was mad. I was all mixed up. It just must have been the scotch.
You brought this thing along to frighten Helen?
Look, I swear to you, I didn't take it out of the bag. She didn't see, honestly.
Didn't you know the gun was loaded?
Don't look at me like that.
Answer me, did you know it was
I
loaded?
didn't. Tony said it was empty. It wasn't his fault, Frank. Let me give it to him back. Please, Frank, breathe! You've got to believe me. I swear to you, I didn't know it was loaded. Frank, I was so unhappy. I wanted her to know, to see what she was doing to me. Frank, I've tried. For weeks and weeks, I felt you going further and further away from me. I didn't want to do. I know she's the kind of woman you ought to have married. But I couldn't let you go. I love you too much. I just felt tonight if I didn't have a showdown, I'd go out of my mind.
I'm probably more to blame than you are. You stop worrying about Helen. I'm being transferred next week. Well, it's empty now.
Are you ready to start now, Dr. Wieland?
Yes, but Dr. Overton said he'd ring, so let's give him a few more minutes. By the way, is there any more coffee?
What? Again?
Yes, again. I'm an addict.
Coffee.
Thought you'd gone to bed.
Yeah, I'm going in a minute, but I wanted to talk to you.
Go ahead.
Do you think we can get away for a little while? You know, just a little holiday.
I don't suppose you could fix that, huh?
I could. It would mean helping Helen with that experiment tonight. Can't let her do it alone. I mean, all night, which you're not very fond of.
I don't mind, darling. Oh, I love you so much. I hope the experiment will be a great, big, smashing success.
It will be. It better be.
Oh, 4596.
John?
Tony.
What have you done with my gun?
Oh, well, I was going to play a silly joke, and unfortunately it misfired.
Misfire?
Well, I was going to bring it back. Come and fetch it.
All right.
All right, Martin, we start.
Helen, thanks for calling me.
Frank?
I'm glad you didn't go ahead with Jackie.
I was just going to.
I've got a much better idea. You realize, of course, that once Vernon puts that veto in writing, we're sunk. We can't go ahead without getting Hubbard into hot water. We've got to be there first.
Yes, but how?
Tonight we're going to experiment on me. Don't look so shocked. I don't know why I didn't think of this thing sooner. I'm perfect for the experiment. Right weight, everything. Believe me, it'll go like clockwork, you'll see. Oh, you have ratio figures for the human experiment. All we have to do is add an extra liter of glycerol.
No. It's too much of a risk.
What do you mean too much of a risk? There is no risk. We've been saying there's no risk.
I know, but it's different when you're faced with it. I mean, we could be wrong. Will the human heart stand it? And what about brain damage from oxygen starvation? And what about your wife?
I'm doing this for Joan, too.
No, Frank. No, I won't do it. I can't. Not with you. I'd be too scared of something going wrong. Unless, of course, that's what you want.
You're outnumbering yourself. Helen, do you realize what this means if this experiment is successful? And it's bound to be successful. It opens up unlimited possibilities for the world of surgery. And think of future generations, Helen. It'll free them of malignant disease. Look, it's something we've discussed sometimes back and forth. It's something we're agreed upon. It's something you do yourself. Well, isn't it? Answer me.
All right. You win.
Naturally. Martin. We're going to conduct our first human experiment tonight. You're going to be a part of it.
Oh, you don't expect me to...
No. It's on me. It's on me.
Joan, are you going to be long?
Coming right away.
You had better. You owe me an explanation. What does this mean?
Oh, I haven't seen that. Well, it just went off. Come, don't worry. Have a drink.
All right, I need it. And put that gun down.
Oh, that's all right. Don't worry. It isn't loaded. Frank made sure of that.
This is no laughing matter. If there had been an accident, I might have landed in jail.
Well, with your uncle a police vice president?
More than ever. I never got it licensed. It should have been handed in to the police. Incidentally, whilst bearing our souls, where's Frank?
On his last experiment.
Oh, back to the apes? Name your poison, Jane. You have no whiskey.
Lime juice, please. I'm on the wagon from now on.
For how long?
Forever.
Whatever?
Forever and ever. You don't believe me, do you? Well, here's Auf Wiedersehen to Joan the Soak.
Don't move. I'll phone for an ambulance. You'll be all right. Don't worry. Joan.
Oh, wait. Tony. Don't.
I'm here, Joan.
Why did Frank say what's happening? Why?
It's an automatic. So, when he thought it was empty, the last bullet was in the muzzle. I should have checked it.
Oh, my fault.
What do you mean?
Frank. No.
Oh, you mean Frank doesn't know it was my gun?
The heart stops here, and the blood freezes here at -1. And this is where every second is going to count. We have got to close this gap faster than we've ever done it before. Must have a bigger safety margin.
Because of his brain?
Yes. This is where there's a risk of damage if we're unlucky.
You better hurry up, Helen. I'm going to fall asleep on you.
I'm coming, Frank.
Yes, Martin?
How shall I enter this, Dr. Wieland?
What was our last serial number?
X700.
Well then, experiment X701.
Human.
Zero. -1.
Set for -10 on full current. Good. 6 seconds to spare.
Will he be all right?
He looks all right so far.
Looks different from the chins. Doesn't he?
Don't
I'm
give up.
sorry.
You're tired out. What's wrong? Trouble with the experiment?
I hope not. You see, it isn't Jackie. Frank came back last night. He insisted
Frank?
We talked about Sir Keith trying to stop us from doing a human experiment. He said we must get in first. Must.
Is that all?
Oh, you know Frank. As usual, he started on our mission to humanity. He cornered me. What could I say?
So Frank offered himself as a guinea pig, and you accepted him. Because of his wife?
What's she got to do with it?
Does his wife know? When are you going to bring him back?
Tonight. Martin will come at 7 o'clock.
Yes. But what's he want? Oh, I see. Oh, well, send him in. There's a man from the police. He wants to see Frank.
He can't, can he?
Any idea what he wants?
No. No.
Oh, well, then you better go home. I'll talk to him.
Oh, no, please, let me stay.
Why don't you tell me?
Afterwards, perhaps.
Come in.
Good morning. Sorry to bother you. I'm Detective Inspector Prento, and this is Sergeant Green.
Well, I'm Professor Hubbard, and this is Dr. Wieland.
Morning, madam.
I understand you want to see Dr. Overton.
If he's here, sir.
He is.
I thought he might be. His car is outside.
But he's not available at the moment.
Oh, we'd better make him available.
Well, that's not so easy. He's involved in an experiment.
Then he had better stop for a while. I've got some important questions to ask him.
I'm afraid he's unconscious. Perhaps you better tell me what you want him for.
At this stage, it's none of your business, sir.
Then you better make it my business, Inspector. We may want to keep Dr. Overton unconscious for weeks, even months.
Do I understand, yeah, that you will hinder the police in the execution of their duty?
No, I'm asking you to tell me what you want to talk to Dr. Overton about.
Very well. We think Dr. Overton can help us in connection with his wife's sudden and violent death by shooting.
No.
Perhaps Dr. Wieland could be more helpful.
One moment, Inspector. This lady is a member of an international organization. Shouldn't you warn her that she doesn't have to answer your questions at this stage?
Yes, of course. I was about to do that. Well, Doctor.
I can only say I'm very shocked to hear the news. He's a dear friend and colleague.
Yes. I only want facts.
For the early part of the evening, he was here. His wife called. They left, and later he returned to do the experiment.
Where is he now?
I'll answer that, Helen. At the moment, Dr. Overton is in the next room in a glass case surrounded by solidified gas at about minus 40 degrees centigrade. And as you might expect, his life processes are suspended.
That means either alive or dead, sir.
I mean what I say. Suspended.
Alive?
Alive.
I suppose he can be revived.
Well, this is an experiment.
Can I see that case?
Yes, you can see it.
You stay here, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are you prepared to swear he's inside?
Yes,
And alive?
I hope so. I can't raise the dead.
It would be very awkward if he passed on. What you have told me is contrary to human experience. I hope that is the truth. For your sakes.
Scientists are as interested in the truth as the police inspector.
Have either of you any reason to suppose that Dr. Overton undertook this experiment in the hope of escaping from the consequences of his actions?
Dr. Overton is a brilliant medical scientist. If he wanted to escape anything permanently, all he would have to do is inject himself with some drug, go to sleep peacefully, and not wake up again.
That should answer your point, Inspector.
I want Dr. Overton revived as soon as possible.
I'll think about it, Inspector. Dr. Wieland has been working intensely for over 24 hours, and there are many other considerations which don't concern you. I'll let you have my decision later in the day.
You are probably very wise, Professor. The human mind plays funny tricks when suffering from lack of sleep. Sergeant, I want you to stay in the laboratory until I send her leave.
Sir. What are our chances?
I can only use the technique we developed. And pray.
So your secretary did manage to get hold of you?
Yes, he did indeed. I've been traveling the whole day.
I thought you wouldn't want to miss the fun.
I'm certainly relieved to see that the whole place isn't swarming with reporters.
No, because we've persuaded the police to let us finish the resuscitation in peace.
In peace? But don't you realize the full implications of this business?
We don't know the facts yet.
The facts are obvious. Overton shot his wife, returned to the laboratory, and with Fräulein Wieland's willing connivance embarked upon this experiment, either as a red herring or a wild act of penance.
The police haven't ruled out suicide.
Merely because the wound could have been self-inflicted. But how could a dying woman dispose of a weapon? And why on earth should she?
So the gun wasn't found?
If the experiment fails, as I've no doubt it will, and Overton escapes justice, the whole affair will become a public scandal. We shall all be involved. Fräulein Wieland will no doubt be charged with being an accessory after the fact. Your control of your staff will be severely criticized. Not to say anything about my own authority.
Oh, I'm sure you'll come out all right.
I intend to, in the interests of the organization.
Well, are you going to stay and watch?
Naturally.
Do you know Karl Merkheimer, the pathologist? He's here.
Karl Merkheimer? Here?
The police wanted an independent medical observer.
Why?
To make sure that Helen does everything she can to bring Frank back alive, I imagine.
Karl Merkheimer, of all people.
Oh, he's quite a nice chap.
I don't care what he's like. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry in this country knows his name and connects it with sensational criminal trials. This is getting worse and worse.
Things should start happening pretty fast now.
How soon can you tell if his brain is undamaged?
He'll be able to talk for a minute or two, and then he'll slip back into a sort of coma.
A coma. And how do you deal with that?
By stimulating the heart.
A wee bit tricky, that. Judging how much you give him is a difficulty, I would imagine.
Yes, I have to be careful not to overstimulate, or he might die of shock.
Would you say, then, that the final stage is the most critical?
In this case, yes.
This is Dr. Merkheimer. Sir Keith Vernon.
Oh, how do you do?
What are these for? Emergency use. If he looks like passing out? No, in case one of your lot comes over queer.
Martin, are you ready?
Coming, Doctor? They will soon be opening up the coffin. Stick by the door and keep it quiet.
Can't I watch, sir?
That keen, aren't you?
Only scientifically minded, sir.
Sorry. You have a full house already. On the door, Green.
-1 standard pressure.
-1 standard pressure.
Thermomodulator cut 50.
Thermomodulator cut 50.
0.
0.
Switch on heart amplifier.
Switch on heart amplifier.
Give me the police vice president, please.
18.
18.
19.
19.
Cut diathermal generator.
Cut diathermal generator.
Now.
Skin texture has returned already. We can help him on with some artificial respiration.
The amplifier on.
Yes.
We'll start 600 cc and give him a pulse rate when you get one.
Pulse rate 40, rising. 48, 52, heart fibrillation, becoming even.
He's on the verge of consciousness now. We should know in a few moments whether he's normal. When I put him under, I asked him to stop counting at 12. If his brain is undamaged, it should pick up his last memory pattern, and he'll go on counting where he left off. Frank? It's me. Do you hear me? Think. 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 Later. Just go on counting. It was wonderful, Frank. Thank you. That's all you have to do. You recognize me. That's a mercy.
Why? Didn't you want me to? I'm a very clever fellow. Walk the dog, play baseball, tiddlywinks.
You're wonderful, Frank. But now, relax and let me do the rest.
Anything you say. Doctor.
Pulse rate 58, blood pressure 90 to 70, falling.
Electros.
Electrode.
Gloves. Electros. We'll start at 250, time check every 30 seconds.
Start at 250. Time check every 30 seconds.
He's not out of the woods yet, is he?
No. Not yet.
4 minutes at 4:30, pulse 62.
Step up complex C to 500.
Step up complex C to 500.
An open and shut case of murder.
Yes, sir. I took down his festivals as evidence.
We are going to need it.
4 minutes at 500, pulse 64. Repeat instructions.
Cut off.
The amplifier.
No, the heat.
And the heat?
Is he hearing now?
Yes, I'm not prepared to risk any more. Injection.
Pulse rate 56. Stop that phone, Green.
Marty.
I didn't get it, sir. Don't do that, sir. He'll think it's me. Who is it? Der Polizeivizepräsident.
Hello? Yes, thanks, I will.
Pulse.
36.
What's happening?
No response to injection. Blood pressure still falling.
What the devil's gone wrong? Why don't you inject into the heart?
Sir Keith.
Police Vice President wants you, Inspector. Dr. Overton's wife shot herself accidentally. A witness has come forward.
Keep them on. No matter what happens. You'll need gloves. I'm going to jump the George up now.
Contacts scorching. Contact scorching.
Frank? For a minute, I thought I'd lost you.
One year ago, those of us who knew Dr. Overton well never doubted for a moment that his motives in volunteering for this remarkable experiment were purely scientific. I, perhaps more than anyone else, am delighted and relieved that it was successful because of the heavy load of responsibility that falls on any commander
who encourages his crack troops to venture into no man's land. But it was a responsibility I was glad to take, etc., etc.
That old fakey didn't say that a year ago.
Then good luck to him. Life would be a lot duller without the Sir Keiths of this world.